recently, Jordan Peterson went on Joe Rogan's. Actually, wait, hold on. So, I found this out because this thing went booming on Twitter. Jordan Peterson, because he's a dork and should never ever give social advice to any other human beings, announced that he was going on the Joe Rogan podcast. My God, this man tweets a lot. By posting this picture, please bring me to the picture before the momentum from my sentence runs out. Please, God. This picture, which, listen, he's like going over to Jordan Peterson's, to Joe Rogan's studio recording in a tuxedo. He essentially just left his professorship because there were too many black people. That's only a little bit of an exaggeration, by the way. He stopped being a professor because of forced diversity. I mean, the dog whistles were decades out of date. And anyway, I'll probably cover more of this, but he went on the
communists.
Here we go. He went on the Joe Rogan thing, and here he is in his tuxedo, so you can see. This is how I found out. It's a 4-hour video. This is how I found out that there are videos on Spotify now, so that's nice. The bow tie is cute. Shu, you're incredible. Sorry, where I grew up, randomly wearing tuxedos to casual events is a somewhere in between a midlife crisis and a 12-year-old's understanding of adopting masculinity. I think if you're wearing a tuxedo at a casual event, unless you're doing a very specific thing, which I do not think he is doing here, you will basically always come off like you're wearing your dad's clothing, which the guy's pretty old, so, you know.
Between the communists and the capitalists. And most of the reason the eradication of that conflict has been beneficial is because they're not doing unbelievably stupid and counterproductive things at the policy level. They're letting markets flourish to at least a limited degree. And people aren't, I talked to some people. I was in Washington for a week last week, and I talked to some people who are working with UN committee that's prime goal is the eradication of hunger. Well, there isn't any hunger in the world anymore that isn't caused by political conflict.
Depending on your definition of political conflict, this is true. We have more than enough food for everyone on Earth. It's just a matter of, if by political conflict you only mean like civil wars or whatever, then he's wrong. There are people in America who go hungry. If by political conflict you mean that it's a matter of politics, that it's not being distributed properly. Oh yeah, for sure, Shu. But there are tens of millions of people in America right here who have experience food instability.
Everyone has enough to eat. In fact, it's so interesting that one of the emerging problems, especially among the poor all over the world, is that they have too much to eat. And so we're seeing diseases of
this is such a 14-year-old libertarian wise guy take. Oh my God. No, of course he meant by political conflict, he exclusively meant like civil wars or whatever. This is such a I'm 13 years old and I'm smarter than everyone else take. Oh, the problem isn't that the problem isn't that they don't have enough to eat, the poor. The problem is that they have too much to eat, and that's why they're fat, you know? It's just a ludicrously stupid perspective. I'm sure all of you have heard the counter-arguments to this, but first of all, if you're taking a look at food insecurity in the United States today, right now, wow, Wikipedia, that is a blurry photo. Can we try again with that one? Do we want to properly scale that image to the... Here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. There we go. 14.6% of all U.S. households are food insecure. 5.7 right here are very food insecure. This is tens of millions of people. Even if you're just talking about the 5.7 at the very low food security level right there, we're talking about tens of millions of people. You can take a look at the factors that are used down here. These are all government sources. There's no weird sussy shit here. Worried food would run out. Bought food did not last. could not afford balanced meal, cut sized or skipped a meal, ate less than they should, hungry but did not eat for a whole day. There is no reason why in the United States of America anyone should not eat for a whole day. There is no reason why in the United States of America anyone should be hungry but not eat. There is no reason why in the United States of America anyone should ever be worried about food running out. This is the absolute baseline provision of a modern society that America does not provide. I believe the UN actually had a vote on whether or not access to food should be made a human right. Now, who wants to guess which color voted yes, and who wants to guess which color voted no? No points for second guesses here. There you go. Look, the argument is this. First of all, in America, there are a lot of people who legit just have trouble affording food, okay? And keep in mind, like, food is something that you have to eat multiple times a day to live a healthy life, okay? It is not sufficient to be able to scrounge together enough money for a McDouble, like, every 18 hours. We're talking about steady, consistent food access for proper development, especially for young people, proper nutrition. Anyone who experiences any instability in that, that is food insecurity. Any instability whatsoever. Again, this is America. This is America. We're the wealthiest country on earth. Nothing else is acceptable. Nothing else is acceptable. Not even close. But there are plenty of people who just plain old cannot afford food. And, Jordan Peterson's about to go on, and I'll let him finish his point before I make fun of him some more. Unless he says some remarkably intelligent stuff in a backpedal. I guess we'll see.
Affluence replaced diseases of privation. And you think, isn't that too bad, these Western diets? And, fair enough, but you want to be fat or dead? And fat's better. And
oh, what a wise sage. What a great choice we have here in America. Don't ask for anything more. Remember, this is the bedrock of his social conservatism. Never ask for more. Remember, clean up your room. Try to change yourself before you change society. Oh, wealthiest country on earth. People with, food stability. Whatever. Better this than living in, like, Libya. Oh, what a high bar we've set for ourselves. How is it always the people who insist that America is number one are also the people most okay with it being number, like, 73? You ever notice that? It's always people who delusionally insist that America is like the best, who seem least concerned with making sure that it's even at par.
Fat isn't optimal, let's say, but it beats the hell out of dead.
Well, how many people starve to death
now
in the world? Yeah,
almost none. And
let's look that
up.
Almost none. Wait, how many? What are the numbers? About 9 million people die of hunger and hunger-related diseases every year. Did he just mean in America? Yeah, I'd love to be lectured about how the poor just need to work more from a man in a three-piece tuxedo. He probably did he mean like America only? In America, the number is probably relatively low, but you can be like starving and not die of starvation. You can be food insecure and not. How many deaths by starvation in America? Yeah, in America, it's like 100 or so. There are probably a lot of people in America who suffer significant ailments due to lack of proper nutritional access. Even 100 is too much. Yes, of course, even 100 is too much, but yeah. Here, look, from the American University of Washington. The facts are devastating. In 2019, 35 million Americans struggle with hunger. More than 10 million American children did not have enough food on a daily basis. 10 million American children. Like, these are unfathomable. These are statistics. This goes beyond the comprehension of any human empathy. This goes beyond, like, this is more than, on average, people who live in your city. This is an entire... It's states worth of people. You could probably sum up the population of the 10 least populous states, and that would be how many children alone. In fact, if we assumed we had a warlock who is capable of instantly switching the populations of people with all the children that are food insecure. Based on these numbers, yeah, you could fill up Wyoming, Vermont, the District of Columbia, Alaska, North and South Dakota, Delaware, Rhode Island, Montana, and Maine, their whole population's worth of people with nothing but the number of food insecure children that we have. We have enough food insecure children to singly populate 10 U.S. states. 20 senators would be voted in by the starving children. And Jordan Peterson says not even a problem. If you're wondering why there are a lot of poor fat people in America, it's because the cheapest food most people have access to that you actually have time to make, because a lot of poor people work multiple jobs and don't have time to cook up like 40-minute like lemon chicken breast rice whatever, is from fast food. $1 per calorie fast food in a lot of places is going to get you the most efficient way of getting the energy necessary to work the god-awful hours a lot of these people have to work. And that shit ain't good for you. Okay? That's why wealthy people tend to be skinnier, even though we have greater access to food. In fact, if Jordan Peterson thinks overconsumption is the issue, how does he square that with the fact that skinnier people tend to be wealthier, or wealthy people tend to be skinnier? Because if access to food is what causes being fat, then wouldn't that... Well, no. Yes, car culture certainly doesn't help as well, but fundamentally, at the end of the day, this particular divide is a product of food deserts, of a lack of time to cook meals properly, of grocery prices not sufficiently incentivizing people to buy raw ingredients. Some of it is education. Maybe some people would be able to eat healthier if they knew a bit more about how to cook meals that weren't Kraft mac and cheese. But I don't think that's the main part of it. Also, when you cook at home, you create a mess. It takes more time, and you create a mess with dishes. Not to mention, you can make mistakes with cooking meals. That doesn't really happen when you order food. Like, it can. Like, they can fuck up the meal so badly you can't eat it. But if you're tired and you're sleep deprived and you have barely any time and you're like, I need food right now, and you're staring down like a 30-minute cook time for some meal, and like there's a chance of you making a mistake, any mistake that could mean you'd have to start over or you waste time or ingredients. Like, there are reasons why poor people tend to go for fast food. And it's not because they're stupid. It's because they're poor. I'd bet you that I could take a poor person off the street who could explain this better than Jordan Peterson could. I think all the education for Jordan Peterson in the world is wasted on his walnut brain. And that if you take the... I feel like... Get honest to God, you know what would improve Joe Rogan? Get rid of all of his grifting fucking co-hosts, okay? Find people off the street, tailor them a tuxedo, and have them sit in the hot seat. What's up with you? What issues are you facing? That'd be a good-ass podcast. Hey, I'm Joe Rogan, and here's some guy I pulled off the Bronx, okay? And then they just talk for 3 hours. That would unironically be a really good podcast. You do it? I'm not a proletarian hero like Joe Rogan. Also, Joe Rogan doesn't want to be around poor people. What do you think about state-funded gyms and straight up outlawing corn syrup to Mao? I am totally in favor of outlawing corn syrup, okay? All the food companies were just like, hey, we can save 1/8 of 1 cent per gallon of product produced if we put this human killer in all food. Trust me, guys, your food will stay just as tasty, all right? And if prices go up, that's okay. We'll just do a proletarian revolution. Look, anyway, the point that I'm trying to get at here, like, yeah. No. We'll spread out the Jordan Peterson takes. It wasn't even on the docket today. Okay. What about getting rid of meat culture? Many people think all meals must require meat. I love you, man, but if you think that like the issue with poor people's dietary habits is like you need to go up to them and say like, "Hey, have you tried tofu?" Like they would beat you to death, and you would deserve it. Listen, the problems with meat culture are real, okay? But I don't think that they should be interjected with this particular thing. Poor people need the time, calorie. They need to get the food, you know? The whole like making meals yourself thing, people don't realize how much you know, there's a reason why It was the homekeeping mothers who would cook the meals and the breadwinning fathers who wouldn't. It takes time to cook. When you're tired when you get home from work, and then you have to slave over a hot stove for 30 minutes, 40 minutes to produce something. Yeah, it's just it's not that it's impossible to do, it's that it's difficult to do, and a lot of poor people are making basically the mathematically optimal choice by getting fast food as much as they do. Or if it's not mathematically optimal, at the very least, it's a lot better than, wearing tuxedo to go to the underground studio Jordan Peterson dude is. The meat is expensive, and a culture that prioritizes it can have bad outcomes for people strapped for cash. No. To the average consumer, getting like a McDouble or whatever is relatively cheap in terms of how meat provides them calories and nutrition. And the reason for that is because the US meat market is massively subsidized, because the government understands and the meat companies understand that if meat were charged its actual price value, the fast food industry would fall through instantly, and an entire multi-billion-dollar US network of corporations would suffer massive economic backlash. Look. Let's not worry about it. Kill the segment. Tempest, get me out of here. Just fly me away. I say Tempest. Ryan's usually the one who edits these. Ryan, take me away.